Welcome back, fellow stackers. Silver Gold Man here. Today's date is Wednesday, November 5th, 2014. As I promised, I will be keeping an eye on some of the players on YouTube and how they're trying to promote that, well, you should listen to them. They're the prepping masters, right? Well, I think it's become very evident that many of the people that have been telling you to prepare for this stuff are all into scamming and frauding and giving you the wrong buy signals. There's no doubt about it. And UCY TV is one of the latest ones that I'm following. I fell onto this person or whoever they are by following Fukushima, and back then they were promoting this scam artist, Kevin D. Blanche. And so I sent them an email here. They have their email in their videos, and sent them a message. Won't reply to me even with the information that I had. They're simply not interested. So I'm telling you straight up, stay away from these prepper chicks, which is something new they've just started recently. But going on to someone that we know much better. Okay, so Realist News, I'm not going to rehash him again, although I will keep bringing him in because he's all part of this scamming crew, the dummy pool club. You know, they all play pool against each other, all promote each other, but won't promote real truthers. So in this latest one here, and by the way, I've mentioned before, Realist News, JSNP4 is all about censorship, right? I was invited to be a moderator on this forum, and eventually he banned me, not for swearing, not for lying, for promoting too much truth, right down to the highs and lows of silver. And it only makes sense because the Realist News is controlled by JM Bullion. So how can you have a bullion dealer that owns your Realist News gold and silver website when they're out to make cash off it? So it's become pretty evident. I mean, even JSNP4 asked me to open up a YouTube alternative where we upload our videos and we'd have, you know, no censorship. And we had a disagreement because, well, JSNP4 basically wanted to make another YouTube with all the AdSense and all that bullshit. And I'm like, no, hold on a second. We can find other ways to fund it without jamming videos. I mean, you know, ads all over the place, which, by the way, look at this latest video. He's got 2 ads going. So, anyways, many of you caught on to the scammer, and his latest scam, as I mentioned, they promote each other, and he's talking about the silver analyst who correctly called $15, and then the moonshot. Well, that means $15 is a low, and the moonshot, she's taken off, isn't she? Absolutely. No, is it? Well, the one thing you may have noticed, if you have been listening to him, JSNP4 doesn't have a proper call, doesn't have an exact call underneath his belt. In fact, in this video, he goes on to say, "Oh, I remember even around the $20 mark, I was maybe it might go down lower." Yet, if you go watch his videos, he's been telling you to buy all along. There's no doubt about it. So who's been calling this crash? Was it really a crash? That was the other thing. So the silver analyst predicted a crash. There's no crash. We've slowly been going down here to $15. Yeah, so 3 years ago, he called this one. Yeah. Well, I guess they could have pulled that out anywhere, right? Because I remember 3 years ago there was all kinds of people going around saying that stuff on the internet. Honestly, like I said, I've been out here for a long time. I put more hours than most of these bozos online. Seriously, that's why I've got a long list of accurate predictions, and they've got a long list of not predicting anything or a shitload of failures. So yeah, $15 3 years ago, and now a massive rally to $1,000 an ounce. Whoa! So basically, they're telling you here that $15 is the low, and you better hurry up because it's taken off to 1,000, right? Do your homework, folks. Okay? That's what I do. You do your homework. You look who's promoting this, and you'll quickly realize that anyone who sells silver or out making silver videos and also at the same time promoting a silver bullion, right down on Realist News. JM Bullion runs Realist News. That's what's on there. All JM Bullion ads. You're never going to get anybody that's included in these dealers' financial books or dealings. You'll never get an accurate call from them because to them it's about making money. I hope you guys realize that. The Silver Doctor doesn't give a shit about you. He's only out there to promote himself. And as I mentioned before, they all promote their bullshit. The scammers all help each other out. I hope you're catching on to this because this is one of my biggest things that was hard for me to swallow back then in 2009, 2010, and 2011. It just became so evident. So back then, many of you may recall, Crash JP Morgan, MaxKeiser, Mike Maloney, many of these famous YouTubers came out here telling you that gold and silver was the only sound currency in the world. Nothing else. It has to be gold and silver. And then we saw them all jump ship and they all started promoting Bitcoins, which went crazy. After they pumped it, it went from $3 up to $1,200. And now, well, I don't know if you jumped out, but I made that first video at $685 telling you to get out of there. It's dropping. It's going down. I don't know how low, but I'm looking at probably $5 here in the future, not the near future, but she's dropping. She's already down to about $329 of Bitcoins. So it's lost more than half of its value since I first started talking about it, telling you to get out. And now here we have the, MaxKeiser with his financial war reports. He's telling you what? Well, yeah, the same bullshit here that this guy predicted $15 3 years ago with a massive rally coming. So again, they're leading you to believe that you got to go buy now because this is the low, right? Yeah, you can see here, November 3rd, 2014, that's the story, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. You don't even have to look very far. And look at that. The same fellow. Marshall Swing, silver, $17 handle. Buy now! Big letters. Period. Yeah. Imagine that. He says, I've written several times previously about my absolute buy signal is 18 and below. Oh, is that right, eh? Who is this guy? Oh, Marshall. Oh, it turns out that Marshall is a formerly trained in performance of classical music as a bass trombonist and the art of jazz and improvisation. Oh boy, improvisation. Well, now I'm a little concerned here. Yeah, so it turns out, well, he was a self-employed piano player in a jazz quartet. Nothing to do with precious metals. He was in the army after that. So are we going to believe these people? I hope not. And I hope you're catching on to their bullshit. And I got a call, my own silver call coming at the end of this video. But let's continue on here with some more connecting the dots so you guys can understand that they play dummy pool together. So I talked about the Day Trader Show that's owned by Don Harrold, who was selling books back in 2009, 2010, telling people to sell their silver at $21 an ounce. And this is before it rose up to $49. This is interesting because I was pumping videos back when it was about $14.50, roughly to I guess around the $30 mark is where I kind of pulled off. But I was pumping videos out every single day in 2009 and 2010, telling folks, get in there, this baby's going. In fact, I even made my last video where I actually spoke myself. I grabbed the microphone for the first time, I think it was, it was probably my 5th time or whatever. I don't talk a lot in my videos in the past. But regardless, June 22nd, 2010, I made a video. I tell folks, telling you all, get out there, go buy your silver at 22, I think it was $22.75 or $22.30, the same price that, oddly enough, StellaConcepts was telling folks back then, because I was subscribed to them, telling folks I wouldn't be buying any more at 23 or 23.75, and here it was back then. I was buying all the time. And so we've had these guys who've come out just recently, Don Harrold and StellaConcepts, telling you all in a video conference how they were all actually on the phone, on a Skype phone call with each other in 2011 when the high of 2011 hit of $49. Well, according to StellaConcepts, he sold his silver that night and Day Trader sold it shortly thereafter. So they're both claiming they sold at the highs. We both know. And one of the things I've talked about is how the silver pumpers, that's basically they're here to pump, 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 will all play dummy pool with each other. So more recently on Day Trader Show, they had he had what's his name, Gregory Mannarino. Now that's interesting because I've talked about tacos and tacos being on Day Trader Show and how they all play dummy pool. It's just the way of playing this game, folks. So a few weeks later, we have on the Day Trader Show, we had Gregory Mannarino, and now today I get up there and who do we have? Rawdog. Well, interesting enough, they don't even talk about silver in this video, and that's a really good thing because both of them, okay, Day Trader Show, Don Harrold, along with StellaConcepts, were telling you to buy at $17.50. I don't know if you remember that video, played a couple of weeks ago when $17.50 hit for the first time. They're both telling you not to wait for a week to see what happens to the market. Jump out there now, go buy $17.50. And oddly enough, I made a video showing how even Rawdog, same bullshit. They don't look at the markets. They never give a proper, correct prediction, or else they'd be loading up a bunch of videos. Somebody says, you keep bragging about what you've done. It's not bragging. It's about money. It's about your money, and it's about damn liars who won't tell you the truth, and I'll make sure I promote these liars by pointing out why they're lying and what lies they've done. Someone says, you're promoting it by talking about, if that's what you call it, yeah, okay, I'm promoting their lies. Nothing but a bunch of lying scammers. So I will continue busting the shills, and Rawdog and DayTradeShow, while they're talking politics and election, they won't talk about direct democracy, which is something I've talked about. Anyone who's a real truther ought to be talking about direct democracy. It's the same reason why I won't go to the Million Man Mask March. Why bother wasting my time? It's been psy-opted. That those people should be running around with direct democracy signs. How come there's no leader in that group telling you all about it? Nobody wants to talk about direct democracy. I had a friend of mine watching a video last night from some independent truther in India, a very well-known doctor, and he came and spoke to me part ways through the meeting, and he says, or through the interview or whatever you call it, the video, and he says, you know what? That lady actually spoke about direct democracy, how they need to bring it in India. I'm like, yeah, we need to bring it globally. If we're going to change the mess that we're in, it's not by us following the Rawdogletards and the DayTradeShow liars and the taco liars and the truth cracker couldn't truth a crack if his life depended on it. None of these people will tell you the truth. Yeah, Truth Cracker is joining up here. He kind of got a little famous here 3 years ago, busting G4T. Well, actually, he was a year behind, because I was actually making videos about G4T back when when gold was only $1,000 an ounce, and G4T was trying to get all his subscribers to go around buying gold from all of the American citizens. And I said, G4T, you're doing the opposite work from Robin Hood. Instead of taking from the rich and giving to the poor, you're taking from the poor and you're buying their gold at a cheap price, and you're selling it to some rich guy. Yes, this is before gold went up to $1,900 an ounce. So G4T, who's promoted by Peter Schiff and SGT Bull, who got upset because I told him, don't deal with G4T. He's a damn scammer. What did G4T do? Turn around and call me what? The worst piece of garbage on the earth? Anyways, I don't worry about these people, because I will keep, some of you call it bragging, I call it taking care of business, watching out for my buck, watching out for your buck. So if you want to listen to a bullshitter and someone who has no track record, you go ahead, folks. I'm not going to stop you. Okay, so something I've talked about here a couple of times in my videos over the last few weeks. I said 1580. If we hit that area, be careful. We're going down lower. We hit 1580, and sure enough, we've gone down lower. Yeah, it's picked up a little bit today, but hang tight. We're going down lower. How much lower? Well, we may as well get into that now, because many of you have been asking. So, as I'd mentioned here, we're on a downward trend. I believe it has to do with this gold election, the Swiss gold referendum that's taking place November 30th. I expect a lot of action here over the course of the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks before we get into this election. The powers that be want to bring gold and silver down before November 30th, and I believe they will do it below $1,000 at least 1 week before the election. So the bad news of gold falling below $1,000 will have had a chance to sink into all of the voters' minds. So when they come out to the poll on November 30th, they'll think, God, we shouldn't back our dollar with 20% gold. Look what's happened to gold. So silver will see the same drop here, and I believe we're going to go right back down to that $12 mark that we saw in 2007. Okay. So back then we were just above the 16 there, shortly thereafter we went right up to the 16. So don't think that we can't come down just as quick, folks. Okay? This is going to take place very quickly, this next leg down. I believe it has something to do with a market crash. As I mentioned before, I stay on top of this on a daily basis. If you want to follow me, I've got the Silver Goldman YouTube channel, and just a video 3 days ago I was telling you all, don't buy your silver, hang tight, it's going lower. And also, if you're interested in some of my calls, my predictions in the past, there's a video I put up 4 weeks ago, silver versus the bitcoins. First few minutes talking about some of the ass clowns or the pumpers and dumpers, and then I get into some of my predictions in silver and some of the failures by some of the people I've mentioned earlier in this video. So my advice to you is stay away from the shield disinformation network, and As I promised, I will be getting into these people one at a time. They got a long history of lying on YouTube, and yeah, we're going to bring some truth, and we're going to bring in some direct democracy. Okay, folks? I hope you remember that word, because I'm not letting it go. I'm going to be ramming it down till you all understand that we need to bring direct democracy if we're going to have any type of real truth and freedom in this world. Take care. Hope you enjoyed the info.